the bridge wasn't ready until the Braves' second season at Sun Life Park, leaving the team with inadequate parking and forcing fans to play a human version of Frogger when the new field opened.
Free Talk Live.
We're talking about the Super Bowl bridge, the $23 million. Now, it's not a bridge to nowhere. This one actually goes somewhere. It's just you're not allowed to use it.
Oh, okay. That clarifies things.
Yeah. So in anticipation of hosting this year's Super Bowl at the brand new Mercedes-Benz Stadium, this is from Reason.com, by the way, the city of Atlanta spent more than $23 million to build a pedestrian bridge linking the stadium to the nearby Vine City Public Transit Station, allowing fans to cross a busy street without needing a crosswalk. The bridge was originally supposed to cost $13 million. Of course, it's government, so we know that the costs are going to be way over whatever it was that were originally projected.
Gotta have those payoffs. You know, those you can't put them in the budget, but people have got to be paid off, or they're not going to let you do it.
Well, plus, if the construction company just runs into trouble, they can raise the price tag halfway through, the gig. Like, what are you going to do? They got you over a barrel, and they know they're going to get the money because it's the government and it's a good old boy club. So it's already pretty pricey for a simple pedestrian crossing over a 4-lane road, but city officials approved the extra $10 million in funding to ensure the project would be finished in time for the big game. The Serpentine Bridge, decked out with dazzling customizable LED lights and wrapped with diamond-shaped aluminum panels, did indeed get finished in time for the Super Bowl, but it won't be used by the vast majority of the expected 80,000 people heading to the game on Sunday. Because of its location adjacent to the stadium, the bridge has been deemed a security risk and will therefore be closed to everyone except for credentialed staff and media, according to the AJC.
Oh, wow. Now, do we get media credentials?
I don't know how you would get that for the Super Bowl. That's probably not easy.
Probably not. So it's only the government-approved media who gets these. Okay,
yeah,
I see.
So if you are in the club, you can use the pedestrian bridge, the $23 million fancy flashing light pedestrian bridge. Otherwise, sorry.
So what are the pedestrians using then? Are they crossing the 4-lane busy highway?
Yeah, you'd have to do it the old-fashioned way.
Okay.
But always remember what Carlin said. It's a big club. You will never, ever be in it.
Yeah. Fans heading to the Super Bowl will have to enter through various security checkpoints well outside of the stadium grounds. That means anyone arriving at the Vine City Station on the other side of the $23 million pedestrian bridge will get to admire a very expensive piece of public art as they cross the street the old-fashioned way through the bridge, though the bridge will be, quote, open for attendees to exit at the conclusion of the game. So you can leave over the bridge maybe, but you can't go in that way. Even by Atlanta standards, paying $23 million to build a bridge that no one can use is a pretty incredible screw-up. This is, after all, the same city that spent $98 million building a streetcar line that's literally useless for anyone except tourists. It runs a 2.7-mile loop downtown around the Coca-Cola Museum, Centennial Olympic Park, and the new football stadium. Then they closed the streetcar when some 100,000 tourists descended on the city for last year's college football national championship games. So $98 million to build the streetcar, and then when they were the busiest that they'd been, they just shut it down. Just outside the city, the Atlanta Braves' new stadium, a disaster for taxpayers and fans in several ways, has its own issues with a pedestrian bridge that was supposed to connect the stadium with a large parking garage on the opposite side of Interstate 285. The bridge wasn't ready until the Braves' second season at Sun Life Park, leaving the team with inadequate parking and forcing fans to play a human version of Frogger when the new field opened. Despite those issues, their pedestrian bridge across 8 lanes of highway only cost $11 million, less than half of the final price tag for the now useless pedestrian bridge at the Falcons' new stadium, which crosses just 4 lanes of the city street.
Why are they okay? I get the story, but when they say useless, it's never going to be used for.
No, it'll be used, just not the. They
just
wanted
not for
it
the
done
Super Bowl.
For the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So they spent extra money to have it done in time.
They expedited
for the Super Bowl.
the building of it, and then changed their mind at the end because it's obviously usable.
Right. Then they decided security risk.
But 4 extra security guards, too big of an expense.
Yeah, and now was it really their intention? When they were planning this, did they realize this in advance? Did they decide they wanted to build this bridge just for the elites because that's the only people that can use it? If you've got the security clearance, you can use the bridge. So it's like a private bridge, basically, for right now until after the game.
See, and if it weren't taxpayer funded, I'd be okay with that, right?
Sure.
Elites pay for private access to things all the time.
Yeah, by all means. Yeah. Unfortunately, the whole thing was taxpayer funded.
Right.
The stadium was a $600 million taxpayer-funded boondoggle. We learned last night that one of the founders of the Home Depot, is the person who owns apparently the Falcons.
Right.
And so basically the deal is taxpayers shelled out $600 million, and the owner gets to take all the profits.
Sure.
So
socialized
it's like
costs,
being
privatized
America's
profits.
fattest welfare whore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
That's really impressive.
So the unseen cost of the pedestrian bridge, like other urban boondoggles, is worth considering too. What else could the city have done with the $23 million they spent on this project? What else could Atlanta taxpayers have done with that money if it wasn't expropriated from them in the first place?
I'm sure feed the homeless and school the children is going to come up on somebody's list.
Well, if it's your money, you can do whatever you want with it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Then that would be the ideal circumstance, would be to allow people to keep the money that they earn and then decide if they want to build a bridge, go ahead and become an investor in a bridge.
Or an investor in the stadium, right? I think you guys were talking last week about, was it the Packers being either a privately owned or a cooperatively owned stadium?
Yeah. That was mentioned last night, I think. And that was supposed to be the only stadium that, at least it was the only one that we had heard of, that is that situation where... And
I've heard that before as well.
And now you've got another one being built apparently in, I think it was Nevada. There is another
for the
privately
Raiders.
funded... Yeah. There's another privately funded stadium that's actually being built, whereas the supermajority of these things are all taxpayer funded.
Nice.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.